everyone. Welcome to Wine Simplified, a wine podcast for cork dorks and those who want to be. I am your host, Carrie, also known as Winecita. That is the name of my blog and website. I am a WSET Level 3 certified wine educator with a background in education and a passion for all things vino. I currently serve as the wine lead at the Good Pour Wine and Spirits Marketplace in Longwood, Florida. The store isn't a sponsor of this podcast or affiliated with it, but if you happen to find yourself in the area, please stop by and say hello. So let's get started. Thank you for joining me again back on Wine Simplified. Today, I am going to zoom in on light and medium-bodied red wines. We are going to focus more on full-bodied reds later on in the next episode. I apologize if I sound a little off today. I'm actually recording this off of a minor surgery, not a big deal, but definitely am not sipping on anything fun right now, and my setup's a little bit different than what it usually is, so I'm a little out of sorts, but still we want to show up and talk through these next styles of wines. I kind of think that full-bodied reds are almost like you're showing up to a picnic in July in a velvet tux. They can be really big, they can be really heavy, they can be really warm, and so think of your light and medium-bodied reds more like breathable linen shirts. They're stylish, they're effortless, they're way more comfortable in the heat, and they're really, really approachable and a great gateway into red wine if you're not that familiar or not that exposed to red wine. These types of wines will shine with food. They're really great for casual sipping. So today I want to look at what makes that wine feel light or medium body, explore some varietals, and talk about when and what to drink them with. I know that I do repeat some things from past episodes, but if this is your first time, your first episode you're going to, I want to make sure that there are gaps filled in. And as an educator, I think that repeating can allow for some more confidence when you're talking about this later. So when we're talking about body, we're not talking about like lifting squats at the gym body, or wine's not doing that. But we are talking about how it feels in your mouth. Is it more like skim milk? Is it more like whole milk? Is it more like heavy cream? We have, used that example in the past. So think about your light-bodied reds. So these are skim, maybe 1% milk, very refreshing, easy to drink. Your medium-bodied red's going to be a little bit more like 2% whole. They're richer, rounder. They're not overwhelming. And then, of course, if you think like half and half cream, we're going full-bodied, bold, dense. These ones are a little bit more of a commitment, and they're not today's focus. So what gives wine that weight? We've talked about the structure of wine in the past. We use the analogy of a painting, but there are things that give wine its structure and its weight. Alcohol is a key one. So the more booze is going to equal more body. Alcohol adds just weight and warmth because alcohol molecules are honestly weightier, heavier. They have heavier texture than water. So they're going to add weight. Then tannins, those drying compounds from grape skins and seeds. We've talked about black tea being steeped in that grippy sandpaper feeling you get, that's tannins. So more tannin is going to equal more grip, which is going to add weight. Then acidity, that zinginess, that crispness. High acid is actually going to make a wine feel lighter and brighter. It's going to bring down the weight a little bit. And then residual sugar, so sweetness. Sweetness can add silky and smooth mouthfeel, but it can also add a feeling of heaviness and weight on your palate because of the sweetness. So let's do a quick contrast. If you open a Pinot Noir from Oregon, you might get some tart cherry, some cranberry, some ripe strawberry. It's going to be bright and fresh, but then if you put a Napa Cabernet right next to that, it's going to have blackcurrant, cedar, maybe some tobacco, big velvety tannins, and that's the spectrum of body that we're working with. And sometimes if you have wine available, and you're willing to have a couple of bottles open, going side by side and comparing is a great way to learn. So let's start with these light and chill friendly reds. So these wines don't mind being the underdog. They are a little bit of like the introverts, I guess, of the wine world. So they kind of hide a little bit. They're quiet at first, but they are full of character once you want to lean in and experience them. So let's talk about Pinot Noir, possibly the queen of light reds. I love Pinot Noir. It's kind of how I cut my teeth in the red wine world. It's very expressive of where it's grown. It's a very hard grape to grow. From California, you might be familiar with Meiomi. That more plush, fruity California style. But if you try something maybe like a Domaine Drouhin from Oregon or a Burgundy from France, it'll be leaner. It'll be more savory. It's going to be cherry, earthy, a lot more umami with mushrooms and a little forest floor. It's one grape, but it is wildly different depending on where it's from. But it goes great with things like roast duck, grilled salmon, or mushroom risotto. So Pinot Noir it's got a very unique style profile across regions. Overall is a very light grape, a very elegant grape, and a great gateway into reds. Now let's talk Beaujolais. I've definitely talked about Beaujolais before and the Gamay grape. I am not talking about the Nouveau stuff that hits shelves right before Thanksgiving, although that is a very light red. I mean a Beaujolais or Beaujolais Village or even a Cru Beaujolais like Morgon or Fleury. You're going to get bright cherry, violets, maybe a little bit of banana or bubblegum from something called carbonic maceration. And this wine, if you chill it for about 20 minutes and serve it with turkey, rotisserie chicken, or sushi, it works absolutely beautifully. Now, if you find your hands on one of these next grapes, it is a little bit unknown, a little bit unheard of, called Frappato. It is from Sicily. It is light, bright, just a little bit rustic. You can serve that with grilled eggplant, Sicilian pizza. And suddenly you bring this and it's not something that people have heard about, and it's a really cool wine if you can get your hands on one. Same goes for Lambrusco, which we've talked about in a previous episode. It might still be stuck in your mind as that sugary stuff from college parties, but modern dry Lambrusco is fizzy. It's packed with wild berry notes, got a pleasant bitterness. Perfect, actually, for a summer barbecue picnic. You can grab one the next time you're making a charcuterie board with maybe salami, olives, hard cheeses. Pop it in the fridge for an hour. It is a crowd pleaser. And then another one that doesn't get enough credit here in the United States, but Zweigelt. So that's Zweigelt. It is Austria's underdog in the overall rankings of red wines in the world, but it is their most planted red grape. You want to look for something from Burgenland. It'll taste like tart black cherry and cracked pepper with a real kind of crunchy, snappy texture almost. And if you've got bratwurst or roasted potatoes or schnitzel, go with where it's grown. That wine is going to be your jam. And so those are some great examples of light-bodied red wines that are sort of like your training wheels in the red wine world. Low alcohol, low tannin, high acid, and packed with bright red fruit flavors. Now let's level up to medium-bodied reds. So these wines, to be medium-bodied, are going to have a little bit more alcohol, a little bit more grip from tannins, usually a little bit rounder in the mouth or fuller in the mouthfeel. So think about these as your go-to wines for heartier dishes without going into full sweat mode, full jog, full marathon with the big bold reds. So let's talk about Merlot. Merlot can err on full-bodied sometimes. A movie Sideways over 20 plus years ago kind of ruined it for a little bit. But hear me out. A good Merlot from Washington State or a Right Bank Bordeaux from maybe Saint-Emilion can give you really cool plum, cocoa, a little bit herbal lift. It's cozy. It's smooth. It's often used to blend with cab to sort of soften out the cab. So it's fabulous with roast pork or mushroom stroganoff and just really great as a single varietal on its own when it's really well made. Then we have Sangiovese. It is a workhorse of Tuscany. It's what gives you Chianti. It's what gives you Brunello, though Brunello tends to be a little bit closer to full-bodied range. But a mid-range Chianti Classico will have nice mouth-watering acidity, notes of those tart cherry dried herbs, dusty tannins. It goes great, practically begs for those tomato-based pastas that come out of Italy, pizza, anything with Parmesan. But Sangiovese is great for being medium-bodied. And again, some examples can err into full-bodied mode. And then Cab Franc. So I love single varietal Cab Franc, Loire Valley especially. Chinon or Saumur will have like red currants. Chinon and Saumur are areas of the Loire that produce Cab Franc. They will have red currant, crushed leaves, and pepper. It's a little bit less fruit forward. It's more herbal and savory. But the wine will love anything with herbs, roast chicken with rosemary, ratatouille, things like that. Then Carmenere, maybe another one that's an underdog, unheard of a little bit, but great examples come out of Chile. It is just a gem, plum, bell pepper, smokiness all in one. It's sort of like Cabernet Sauvignon had this chill hippie cousin who moved to South America and just started grilling everything. Burgers, grilled mushrooms, barbecue ribs, it can handle all of it. So how do you, if you find these wines, if you try these grapes, how do you serve them? How do we handle this? So for light reds, you want to pop them in the fridge, maybe around 30 minutes before serving. Get a nice chill on the medium reds. Just a little chill is great. Maybe just go down to 10 or 15 minutes in the fridge and it's going to be perfect. Go for light reds in like a burgundy style glass. Go wide for the glass so that you can enjoy the delicate aromas. And then if it's something a little bit more medium bodied, a Bordeaux style glass, a little bit taller, still wide red wine glass will show off the more structured tannins and the darker fruit. And when it comes to pairing foods, you want to match the intensity. This kind of goes across the board for wine and food pairing. So light food is going to equal light wine. Richer food is going to equal more of a medium-bodied wine. And when in doubt, like I said, go with where it's grown. Regional cuisine, Italian reds with Italian food, Spanish wines with tapas. You know, we've talked about doing Napa cabs with like barbecue and grilling. So if you're really in doubt, that's a really good philosophy to go by. So if big reds have just been feeling too hard to get into too much lately and you're just wanting to explore something more subtle, try these light and medium bodied reds for just some nuance and versatility. When you get curious and you want to go beyond just those grocery store staples that you pick up. So I would challenge you this week to go find a Beaujolais Gamay. Not going to cost you that much, maybe $13-14, or a bottle of mid-range Chianti Sangiovese, and definitely let me know in the comments or message me on Insta, because I'd love to hear how you feel about what you tried and how you tried it. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to keep learning one sip at a time, be sure to follow me. Follow Wine Simplified wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you are feeling generous, I am starting out. I'm a one-man show. I would love it if you'd leave a quick rating or review because it's going to help others find the show as well. Thank you and cheers.